This is George Dionne of the Rock is George podcast, and this is a KNAC.com exclusive interview with vocalist MICHAEL Kiske of the German power metal act Helloween. If I knew absolutely nothing about Helloween, how would you describe the band's music to me?
Punk. I really think we have a lot of punk. It's like it's very chaotic. The band always had a good sense of humor. You know, it was the energy of this band on stage was but you wanted a short answer, don't you?
No, you can expand upon it.
It's like the energy was never satanic or evil, anything like that. We were never like that because we're just not the type of people for that, you know. Yeah, we're a friendly band, and there's a lot of punk. I honestly, live, when you listen to how we play, it's never as tight as some of the American bands. It's always very punky. It's always very rough, you know. Like we're like the Stones of metal. They were always very, very like sleazy too. You know, they had a weird groove. You know, why the Who, for instance, were very tight compared to looking at those days. You know, they were like a very tight band. And for us, it's more like about the energy than playing perfect, you know.
Absolutely. And you guys are gearing up for the United Forces 2023 tour with HAMMERFALL. Have you started rehearsals yet?
Nope. I mean, I don't know if I even will join the rehearsals, but we see that it's like we always rehearse too little. But I think it's going to start soon. I mean, usually the band starts like a couple of days or a week before, and then the last like maybe 5 days, the singers join.
This is going to be the first time you're playing material from the self-titled Helloween album that came out last year.
Right.
Do you have an idea which songs you're going to be performing from that album?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be the songs we played over here in Europe too. You know, there were songs like I haven't really have an idea if they have decided on the set yet. I should actually ask them. I'm practicing all the songs at the moment of the headline show, you know. But we will be playing in South America before North America. We had been asked to jump on the tour with Kiss, you know, for I think 5 shows or something like that. Kiss, Deep Purple, and Scorpions. We just started off, and we just felt it's a good thing to do, you know, because we can play big places in South America, but when you play with a band like Kiss, you know, you play really huge places, and you might gain some extra fans, you know. That's why we decided to jump on it. It's gonna make the tour in North America pretty heavy because we will be in South America for, I don't know, maybe like 12 days or something, or 2 weeks, and then we will be flying back to Germany for 2 freaking shows. And a couple of days later, we fly to North America. So there will be a lot of jumping, you know, in terms of jet lag and different time zones and stuff. And that's always like really draining, you know. So it's not gonna be easy. But I'm really looking forward to America. I must say so. We played there in 2018 just as a try. You just wanted to try out what happens because we weren't there for a long time, and it was amazing. It was just 5 shows, but they were fantastic. Also, the stage sound was great, probably because of the equipment that we rented there, you know, being top notch. It was really, really a nice experience. And that's why we all felt like we try it again, a little bigger, you know, a little more dates and see what happens.
I saw you on that tour. It was the first time I saw you live because, as you said, you don't make it to the United States too often. I saw you.
Nope.
Massachusetts. It was a fantastic show, and I'm looking forward to the upcoming one that you have with HAMMERFALL in Worcester, Massachusetts. Have you guys played with HAMMERFALL before? I feel like you had to have.
We played with them the whole time now since the pandemic is over. We made that decision, and they made the same decision for themselves because nobody knew if people would show up as they would have done without it. You know, it's like it was for every musician, of course, it was a very scary time. You know, not knowing when to be able to do what and how. You know, so we like the year before that we started talking about teaming up with another band, because you make it more attractive. You have like the HAMMERFALL fans showing up as well, and it worked out great. I mean, we played like big places, even bigger than ever before, like in South America, over here in Europe too. Sometimes, I mean, we had like 9,000 in Stuttgart, which is huge for that type of music in Germany. You know, we play 8,000 in Hamburg. We had 14,000 in Prague. You know, 10,000 in other places. We also have a little bit smaller stuff, like maybe 4,000 or 5,000, 6,000, that kind of thing. But it's bigger than we ever played before. And it was the same in South America. We easily played like 8, 10, 12,000, you know. That's pretty amazing. But as a safety net, we felt like, let's team up with a band we like. And it works great. We just get along perfectly the way it should be. We're basically just always goofing around. And I knew Achim, what is it? Achim, I always say Achim, from a project I did in 2013. It was some sort of a classic meets rock thing, but not the thing that, not the one, you know, classic meets rock. It was a different kind of people that were trying to do that. It didn't work out too well, but that's when I got to know him. So I knew him from before. It works great. It's fantastic. Because it was so good, we wouldn't probably have to do it. We wouldn't probably have to continue doing it like that, because people show up, which is great. But we want to, because it just feels right, you know.
Helloween has about 7 guys on stage at any one time in these live performances. Is there someone in the band that has to act as the orchestra conductor for something like this?
It's like I said, we're punk anyway, so it's like it works. I don't know why it works, but it works. With me and Andy, it's especially great. I did not know him personally before we started this, so nobody knew what to expect, you know. Before we even made the decision like 5 years ago to do this Pumpkin United thing, I flew over to Tenerife and spent some time with him, because we needed to check out if we get along, you know, and it worked great. And on stage we always look at each other. It's like on Keeper of the Seven Keys, for instance, we just throw the parts at each other. I look at him, then he sings the part, and then I sing another part or whatever. If someone doesn't feel right, or someone doesn't hear himself right on stage, you know, he throws parts over to me and stuff like that. That's amazing. You know, it's like I've never experienced anything like that before. It's like we're really like the old, like Frank Sinatra with Dean Martin or something. You know, this sort of teamy. It's a different world, of course, but you know, this kind of teamwork thing going down, which is pretty amazing. And that's the way it should be, because it wouldn't be Pumpkin United otherwise, right?
Correct. Your latest album, self-titled Helloween, came out in 2021, and it went to #1 in the German charts, and it reached the top 10 in 10 different other charts around the globe. This must have been a proud moment for you, having been away from the band for a little bit, coming back, kind of recapturing that punk camaraderie and putting out an album that's some consider the best of your career.
It was actually #1 in a whole bunch of countries over here in Europe. It was at least top 10, but it was a few countries where we were actually #1 with it. It was a bit of a surprise for me. Of course, I liked the album, but I always like when people ask me why I think that is. Maybe it also had to do a little bit with the pandemic, that everybody was frustrated. And that was an up. That was something positive, and people just wanted. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a great record, definitely. But I'm never happy anyway. There are a whole bunch of things that I personally would have done different, but it doesn't matter. People liked it, and of course, especially in that time where everybody was on hold, you know, and just sitting at home, and nobody really knew how and when we could continue. It was a vitamin shot, you know. That's why we actually decided to release it, because we knew we wouldn't be able to tour right after that. So we would just release it, and then there would be a long time before we even play live. But we wanted to do it because we felt like we need to release it now. I mean, we've done the album, it's sitting there, and just because of this freaking pandemic, we just don't want to keep it on hold. You know, we just release it, and it was great. an uplifting moment. Suddenly we were musicians again. We started to do interviews and talk about something else than this freaking pandemic.
The success of this album kind of parallels the success of Keeper of the Seven Keys 1 and 2, and number 2 is actually been 35 years. It's kind of a landmark year for albums when it comes to music. If you could take me a little bit back to the Keeper of the Seven Keys time period, was there a lot of pressure in putting together part 2 after how well received part 1 was?
Well, we were so young, there was no pressure. It's like when you have that age and the ego that we had, that we were very fearless. I think that's why we did a whole bunch of songs that we would not have done otherwise. Songs like Dr. Steam, Rise and Fall, with the comedy sort of aspect of it. You need to be very self-assured, to do something like that. And we had to fight with the record company in those days. It's like, it was so different to the Walls of Jericho record that they've done before, that on that small label, which was more like a thrash sort of record. And then we came up with songs like Future World, I Want Out, Dr. Steam, Rise and Fall, and the record company didn't like the songs, so they didn't want us to record them. So we actually stood up as a band saying, we record the album the way we want it, or we're not going to record. And we really did that. We were fighting. We Got the Right was another song that they did not want to do. A lot of the songs that are classics now, they wouldn't exist if we wouldn't have if we wouldn't have stood up against the record company to push it through. People have no idea how stupid it sometimes is, because record companies, they always try to go the safe way, but it doesn't work with music. I believe as long as you do something that excites you, and you do it with your heart, it has an energy and a strength that is unbeatable. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be successful, but it's more likely, other than doing something that the record company or any record company thinks would work in this market, or what, which is not the way music should be done. But their record label people just don't understand that. They don't understand that. They always look backwards. What have they sold? Okay, that record was successful, so you got to sound like that. That song was a hit. Please do another song like that. But it doesn't work like that. That's not how creativity works. And also, that's not how bands evolve and really get good bands. It doesn't work like that. But it's like, music today is a prostitute in many ways, a prostitute of money, a prostitute of the markets. And it really has to change again. I think we really need bands that are just in it for the music, how it used to be. When I started to get excited about this type of music, and when I joined this band, it wasn't about money. I love making money. There's nothing wrong with it. It's great. But that wasn't my motivation. I was excited about this music. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to sing in a certain way. And that's why we did it. And that's why it had that energy. And that should always be the reason why you do it, and that's why you should never allow anything but creative thoughts decide what you're doing. It's not easy. It's like so many musicians have lost that battle, and became just a reproduction of what they used to do, but you die inside, and your creativity dies if you don't break free. And I think it has become so ridiculous. It's like the industry is making the music today. The industry designs artists, for a specific market. There's not so much in the metal scene like that, but the general pop music world has become in so many ways so ridiculous. It's like the opposite of what it should be. It's not the musicians who make the music. It's the business people who make the music in many ways, I hope this changes again, because it's just no wonder why it died out the way it did. It's not only the internet. It's not only the downloading business. It's also because a lot of the stuff is just crap. It just doesn't have a soul, It's maybe technically done well, but very often it doesn't have a soul. But the Americans are not as bad when it comes to this. It's like when I've been to the US the 2 times, and I was listening to the stuff that was on the radio and stuff like that. From the musical point of view, it was much more my cup of tea. I mean, there was even stuff from the 80s, like rock bands from the 80s on the radio and stuff like that. America is a little different. You have these areas too where things go like that, but you also have these certain musical streams that are just always there, you know, and they have their audiences, and that's good. That's a good thing. Like country music, for instance, is like a very faithful like audience, and it's not fashion that much, you know.
That's true. Outside of Helloween, you made a couple of guest appearances. You appeared on Avantasia's Moonflower Society and Michael Schenker Group's Universal. Do you have any other music projects that you're working on when you're not working with Helloween?
Other than another acoustic solo record that I'm putting together for myself, and I will be releasing whenever. I only said yes to Michael Schenker because of Michael Schenker. You know, when I grew up with this dude, you know, and I was listening to the stuff that he was doing, especially MSG, when I was a teenager. So when he is asking to sing a song, of course I do it. You know, there was no doubt about it. No, but other than that, I sang a little bit again on the Avantasia record. But since I'm back in Helloween, you know, when you're a singer, not in a fixed band, you do projects. That's what you do, or you do nothing. You know. So, but since I'm back with the band, they don't like it too much if I do, you know, too many side projects and stuff like that, unless they're very different. You know, like if it's something that has nothing to do with the sound we're doing. You know. But other than my solo record, there's not really anything in the pipeline.
When do you think you'll get to releasing the solo acoustic album?
Yeah. I've recorded a whole bunch of things. I do a lot of covers, like songs that I grew up and really love. It's completely different. It's like it's a song from U2. It's one song from the Police. It's a song from Billy Joel. I have Beatles, a song of the Beatles, but very simplistic. The way I record it, it's usually just me with an acoustic guitar singing a song, and then I might add a little to it, do a few overdubs or whatever. But I want it to be like very, very simple and very me, and very underproduced. Really, I kind of stopped working on it Christmas the previous year. Like Christmas 21, I stopped working on it. Some of my energy was gone, and since then I haven't really picked up on it again. So I don't know. I mean, most of the stuff is there. It wouldn't really necessarily need that much more work, just a little. I don't know. Maybe next year, something like that. But then again, next year we're also planning to do something with Helloween. So I don't know. I can't tell you.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, there's got to be some new music in the works from Helloween, of course.
Yeah. Kai Hansen had just sent me a demo of a song last week, and he wanted me to tell him what I felt about it. I thought it was great. It was Queen-like. It was like with a piano, very operatic kind of singing, and then it got very rocky, like rock sounding, Queenish with big choirs and stuff like that. I hope they have the balls to do it. I'm completely up for it. You know, we have done so much. When you look at the history of this band, like all the records that this band has put out, there's so many different styles on it. You know, from pop to metal, from slow songs to thrashy songs. Everything we have already covered. So there's really like nothing we couldn't do, where anyone could say that's not Helloween, because we've done it all. I mean, at least when you look at our abilities, you know, what we can do with the instruments and the sort of band that we are, I think there's so much we could do. And I hope we extend on that a little on the next one, you know?
Absolutely. Those are all the questions I have for you today, Michael. The United Forces Tour 2023 kicks off this spring with Hammerfall. The current Helloween self-titled album is out now, and I look forward to seeing you when you make your trip here to Massachusetts.
It's going to be fun, I'm sure. It was great last time. It's going to be great now, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Take care and best of luck with everything, Michael.
Thank you. Thanks for your interest.